All right, welcome into this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Farzin Vasugian here with you tonight. Thank you all for joining me on this very frigid Monday following Championship Sunday and an apocalyptic weekend, I guess. Wasn't it supposed to be a snow apocalypse? Weren't we supposed to get an avalanche? Yeah. Those things never go as planned. So for all of you who over-panicked and bought things you absolutely did not need for the span of a weekend, but you got it for a whole month, congratulations. You don't have to go grocery shopping for a month now. So there you have it. Nonetheless, hope you all stayed warm and survived, making it on a Monday night here. And we've got a lot to talk about today as Andy Reid spoke to the media today. And it was learned that Eric Bieniemy is going to speak later this week. Andy was a little reserved on what he could and could not talk about with the coaching staff, so we did not get any Eric O'Shea comments, or Chad O'Shea comments, today on from Andy Reid. But still a lot talking about Eric Bieniemy. Also praised Matt Nagy a lot. Thought that was interesting. So we'll discuss that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Also, will the Chiefs be able to bring back Leo Chenal? Will that be able to happen? And, of course, we will recap Championship Sunday games. We had the Broncos and the Patriots and the Seahawks and Rams going at it over the weekend. We will recap that here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. Of course, the big game is happening next week. It's going to cost you a pretty penny if you want to go. Tens and thousands of dollars. So if you want to save $20, yes, $20 whole dollars. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, get your Super Bowl tickets over at SeatGeek and use my promo code Farzin. Save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Doesn't have to be the Super Bowl, can be any other sporting event or concert that's available over at SeatGeek. But nonetheless, pick your tickets over at SeatGeek, and new customers can enter my promo code Farzin, $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. By the way, Jaden, I see your comment regarding Super Bowl favorites for next season. He says if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, the Chiefs will be a heavy favorite for opening kickoff night. Oh, that's interesting. I did not pay attention to that. I guess for the sake of that storyline, you kind of want the Chiefs to win. So perhaps that's a good reason to pull for the Seahawks if you're a Chiefs fan, I guess. I know there are a lot of Chiefs fans that are not wanting the Patriots to win because of, I guess, the Patriots and Chiefs are now comparing Super Bowl rings and all that. Listen, I don't really care about that. I'm a huge Mike Vrabel fan, so I like both storylines. I love the Sam Darnold storyline and what he's had to overcome in his career. So I don't mind that at all. But the point I did want to get into here, because you were mentioning next year, Super Bowl odds for next season are out. Do you guys know this? They always come out on the day after Championship Sunday, 13 days before the Super Bowl. So let's look. There you have it. That is the odds for the Super Bowl for next year. What do you notice? The Seahawks and the Rams are favored to win next year. They're tied. Then right behind them is Buffalo. That's interesting. Then right behind them, the New England Patriots, followed by the Eagles and the Lions at 1,300. Not too far behind, the Packers and the Ravens. And right behind those two teams, the Chargers and the Chiefs. That is very interesting. So the Chargers and the Chiefs, one of them got annihilated in the playoffs round one, and the other one didn't make the playoffs this year, but has made it to the last 7 straight AFC Championship games. They have better odds, slightly better odds, than the Denver Broncos. Again, these are, odds from 13 days before the Super Bowl for next year's Super Bowl. So this isn't, listen, people love these things. I don't make a big deal out of these things, but Some of you guys do, and that's why I shared it. So the Super Bowl odds for next season are out. The Chiefs are tied 9th with the Chargers at plus 1,500. So if you want to make a buck, I suppose this is the right time to bet on the Chiefs, because if they can move into the right direction, those odds will the odds will go up, but the amount you could win goes down. So that is how that works. So there you have it. The Chiefs and the Chargers are tied at plus 1,500 on January the 26th. We will see where that is. I guess 11 months from now, we'll have a lot of answers. Hopefully the Chiefs are not out of the playoffs or out of playoff contention 11 months from now. That certainly would be nice. All right. So Andy Reid spoke to the media today, talking about Eric Bieniemy and him coming back to Kansas City. And I asked you guys on social media, because now it's a week that we've learned Eric Bieniemy was coming back to Kansas City. And I wanted to know, how do you guys feel? Do you guys feel any better about Eric Bieniemy's return? Do you feel any different, any worse? Or do you feel exactly the same? And I think a lot of people either felt exactly the same or maybe slightly better. And I guess with these kinds of things, you got to give it a little bit of time to just kind of let it marinate and see what could be the reasoning for this. Here's something and I saw this today because Andy Reid said something kind of interesting in his press conference today with the media through Zoom, saying that because of the amount of openings we have with coaching staffs, not just with the head coach, but a lot of offensive and defensive coordinator positions right now up for grabs, Andy Reid felt the need to move very quickly. He talked about not having the opportunity to talk to Eric until the Bears postseason was done. And he mentioned they had to move very quickly to secure EB based on a lot of the openings that we have right now with, again, not just head coaches, but also a lot of key assistant coaches as well across the league, especially on some significant teams. And a lot of people push back on that, saying they don't believe Andy, that nobody was contacting EB to be their offensive coordinator. And there are a lot of people frustrated because these are not my words. This is reactions I'm reading. A lot of people are saying that they felt like the Chiefs did not make an effort to interview anybody else. Well, I'll tell you something right now. Based on the Rooney Rule, and this does apply for offensive and defensive coordinator positions and special teams as well, you have to interview multiple candidates. So there's no way EB was the sole person they interviewed for this offensive coordinator position. It just wasn't the case. Second of all, for anyone saying that nobody else wanted to even consider EB or interview him, how do we know that? Because we had no inkling whatsoever that Chad O'Shea was coming to Kansas City. We had none. Now, to be very clear, Andy Reid, got a little, I don't want to say defensive, but he was very quick to shut down any question that was leading up to unofficial additions on the coaching staff. Let me just be very clear about this. So the way it works, offensive and defensive coordinator positions, special teams, they'll announce those fairly early. But when it comes to like quarterbacks coach, any position coach, and anything underneath that, so it would be quality control coaches, coaching interns, those do not get announced until much, much, much later. So for anyone that was hoping that, we would get some sort of answer on Chad O'Shea from Andy Reid, that's not going to happen today, this week, not anytime soon. In fact, I remember years ago when Eric Bieniemy's contract was up, he ended up re-signing with Kansas City, and the Chiefs never made a big deal to announce, hey, we are bringing back Eric Bieniemy. They never said that. So this whole thing can get kind of because someone was asking me, is it a concern that Chad O'Shea has not been officially introduced? No, it's not a concern at all. I'm sure he signed a contract. I'm sure it is done. I'm sure it is sealed and delivered. I'm sure he's already at work. But position coaches and anything underneath that, they just don't really announce until later in the offseason. So it could be sometime in the month of February, could be early in March. I don't know. But they usually don't make a big deal about that around this time, I guess. Now, something to keep in mind, he just mentioned that the players know what to expect from Andy Reid. The players like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, well, didn't really say Travis Kelce's name, but I think Travis Kelce unintentionally confirmed he is coming back. So, but he made it very clear, specifically with Patrick, that he knows what to expect from EB, and that EB is going to be very direct with the players as well as the coaches. Now, something that Andy Reid felt the need to address in this press conference, and I think everyone knows what was being referred to here. Andy Reid was very quick to bring up, hey, listen, Patrick loves EB. Obviously, he felt the need to say that because of the rumors that came out years ago that EB clashed with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And hey, there was that shoving incident with him and Kelce one time. There was the sideline exchange right before halftime between EB and Mahomes in a game. I mean, there were just so many things. And I think a lot of people over-exaggerated that kind of thing. Now, as far as that big rumor that came out one time, which took the local media by storm, listen, a lot of that was quickly refuted and debunked to the point where they deleted that blog post, whatever you want to call it. So I'm not... Listen, here's something you've got to understand. Because you know what a lot of people said throughout the regular season as we saw the Chiefs postseason odds fade away? We started having the offensive coordinator positions, and I threw out EB's name out there. A lot of you guys threw EB's name out there. And a lot of you guys said, oh, no, Mahomes will not approve of this. The Chiefs don't want to reunite with him. The Chiefs don't like him. Really? The Chiefs don't like him? Where do people get this from? Because of a rumor from a couple of fans that teamed up on a blog post? Is it because of the one sideline argument Mahomes and Bieniemy had? Is it because Bieniemy yells at the players and people feel like that's frowned upon in 2026? And again, for people who are saying that the Chiefs didn't interview anyone else and nobody else wanted EB, how do we know that? Because there are a lot of interviews and submissions for requests to interview people that we don't ever hear through the media. So how do we know that EB was never wanted by anybody else? That's my biggest question. And even so, what matters is the Chiefs got him back. And I know some people... I get this big pushback that EB's not a good offensive coordinator and that he was just lucky because he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in his prime. That's what I'm getting from some Chiefs fans. And I say, okay, fair enough, but let's not forget this right here is what the Chiefs look like. And I'm trying to not overpower. Oh, that's not what we want. There we go. A lot of people are saying that EB is not worthy of being an offensive coordinator for the Chiefs in that he was just lucky he had Tyreek prime and Kelce in his prime. Well, look at these numbers here, because at some point, some things are not coincidental. They're not accidental. It's not luck. We have 3 years of data with Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator when Patrick Mahomes was a starting quarterback. Mahomes never threw for more than 30 touchdown passes in a single season. Never. Even this year with the injury that he had, let's say he stayed healthy, what were the odds that Mahomes was going to throw 8 touchdown passes in the last 3 games? I don't think that was going to happen. Now look at where the Chiefs ranked in total offense. never above 9th under Nagy, never above 15th in points scored with Nagy as the OC. But when Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator all 5 years, the Chiefs ranked either 6th or higher in points scored and total offense 5 years in a row. Do you know when was the last time the Chiefs ranked in the top 6 at least 4 years in a row in both of those categories? You have to go back to the Dick Vermeil era of Chiefs football here in Kansas City. I think from 01 to 05, if I recall correctly. And unfortunately, that Chiefs team only made the playoffs once, didn't lead to any playoff wins. Life Just Right on YouTube is saying these numbers are why Nagy can't get hired anywhere. Yeah. By the way, a little update. So Nagy, as we know, and we've talked about this, it was going to be between Matt Nagy or Robert Saleh to become the Titans head coach. And people felt very strongly that Nagy was the big betting favorite to become the Titans head coach. They went with Robert Saleh. I mean, the general manager who knows Nagy very well, Borgonzi, chose Robert Saleh over his buddy Nagy. Nagy's also been interviewed once by the Cardinals, by the Ravens, and the Raiders. Now, the Raiders and the Cardinals, they have not made a decision yet. There are 4 teams without a coach right now. Those 2 teams, Cards and Raiders, as well as the Buffalo Bills. There's one more team I am forgetting. Jeff, I see your comment, Jeff. I do want to address that one moment. Who is the 4th team? I can't think of off the top of my head right now. We have the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Bills. What's the other team? I can't think right now. This is killing me. I got to look it up. Let me just pull up the NFL coaches Wikipedia page because, that's driving me a little nuts here, not knowing. The Browns. It would be the Browns. The good old Cleveland Browns. Yeah, thank you guys. I see you all now. The Browns, of course. Those 4 teams. Now, Cleveland, I don't think has reached out to Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was contacted by the Eagles. He did interview for their offensive coordinator position. The Buffalo Bills have a very interesting head coaching search going on. They had serious interest in Phillip Rivers. However, Rivers reportedly withdrew himself from the Buffalo Bills head coaching sweepstakes. You can even call it that right now. Listen, I told you guys a month ago that if Buffalo were to move away from McDermott, which they did, that would be a hot landing spot for every head coach. I even mentioned when Harbaugh accepted the New York Giants job the same weekend Buffalo lost. I told you guys, I said, oh boy, he should have waited a couple of days. Oh no, I think Harbaugh knew what he was doing now. With everything we know and that disaster of a PR press conference that came out last week. I mean, Greeny said it best. The Buffalo Bills did the unthinkable. That is, lower the value of people wanting to become the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Listen, everyone wants the opportunity to coach Josh Allen. But anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is Andy Reid. Boy, I lost track how many times he said that Nagy, quote unquote, deserves to be a head coach. Man, if there was ever any PR move for someone that's no longer in the organization getting all kinds of praise, this was my first time I've ever seen it with the Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, they've said positive things about EB before, but wow, Andy Reid, he put together this masterpiece of a press conference to praise Matt Nagy and to endorse him for being a head coach. His specific words were that somebody's missing a gem and that he was coach of the year, what Andy Reid was trying to put out there, which I love. That was great. That's nice that he won coach of the year, but That would have been so funny if he said he won Coach of the Year with Trubisky as his quarterback, but no head coach will ever say that. Or at least Andy Reid would not. Look, I think I get it. Like, if you're Andy Reid, you've had a great relationship with Nagy to where you brought him out. And by the way, again, he was trying to help Nagy out. He said, we got a gem back in EB and we had a gem in Nagy. Like, he was not stopping about his love for Nagy. Even when there were questions that had nothing to do with Nagy, he would take the opportunity to praise Matt Nagy. Because he even mentioned that Mahomes, he loves both EB and Nagy. And look, I don't think it's any secret. Mahomes has a much greater relationship with Nagy than he does Bieniemy. I mean, Mahomes and Nagy hung out off the field plenty of times. We don't know if that ever happened with EB and Mahomes. I mean, we saw Mahomes and Nagy go to high school games together. You know, boring. Listen, no disrespect. Like, if you have a kid who plays high school football or you know someone who plays high school football, it's interesting. But if you don't have like a serious interest, rooting interest, other than, you just love your alma mater no matter how many years it's been since you graduated, high school football is not really that exciting to attend. And there were a lot of people who Nagy was able to, even Andy Reid was seen at high school football games supporting Nagy's sons. A lot of the Chiefs players, assistant coaches were there. So I don't know. I thought it was very interesting that Andy Reid just went real hard to promote Matt Nagy in such a big light. Thought that was very interesting. Now, here's something that I think people just need to be mindful of with Eric Bieniemy. Because going back to these numbers that I was talking about here, this Chiefs offense was firing on all cylinders when Eric Bieniemy was here. And sure, you may not have Tyreek Hill, you may not have Travis Kelce in his prime. That doesn't mean you can't develop anybody else, because I think the most important thing with Eric Bieniemy coming back is, alongside Chad O'Shea, who I know Andy Reid could not officially discuss today. Well, let's be honest, he is the wide receivers coach of the Chiefs. Chad O'Shea is heavily credited by multiple people for developing Julian Edelman in New England. As we all know, Julian Edelman was the Super Bowl 53 MVP for the Patriots. Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice right now, they need serious help in terms of making progress, in terms of development, improvement, because I think this past year was a setback for both guys. I mean, we didn't really see, maybe Xavier Worthy statistically made a little bit of progress with his average, but in general, I mean, it was nothing to really write home about. This wasn't a good season for neither Rice or Worthy. And here's another thing, and I brought this up before. Look at 2022, when the Chiefs had nearly the same wide receivers as they did in 2023. In 2022, they weren't dropping passes. MVS, Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, Jerick McKinnon, like, those guys were very important that season. But in 2023, all those guys I mentioned were a liability, including McKinnon. So I think that's something to consider. Sky Moore, part of that group as well. Like, I think there is a serious, if Eric Bieniemy does a great job at anything, it's holding guys accountable. And I mentioned this, I was on Lance Spoken's podcast. Shout out to him. If you haven't, go check that out. And I mentioned to him, because he's kind of down on the whole Eric Bieniemy return. He's not big on it like I am. But I mentioned what I just told you guys about the receivers from 2022 to 2023, how it was almost the same receiving group. The only major difference was you replaced Juju Smith-Schuster with Rashee Rice, and suddenly there were drops all across the board with that unit. Another thing to keep in mind, what's the one big narrative with Patrick Mahomes when he's coming off a bad game? Everyone talks about how Patrick Mahomes bounces back and basically comes out with a vengeance the following game when he has a really bad game. Because under Bieniemy, I don't think Mahomes ever had two terrible games in back-to-back weeks. Well, we saw that plenty under Matt Nagy. Plenty. And the numbers right there. I mean, I have the numbers in front of you guys. Liko Eto, I hope I said your name right. Why do we always want to bring back old coaches? We got a new voice. Well, Washington let him go. UCLA let him go. Okay. Let me start with Washington. Washington let everybody go. It wasn't just Eric Bieniemy. They let everyone go. And second of all, I don't know who you think is the best offensive coordinator in NFL history. Name me one offensive coordinator that was going to help that Commanders team thrive with, wait for it, Sam Howell as their quarterback. Name me one. Seriously, what offensive coordinator is supposed to thrive with Sam freaking Howell? Come on. And then your other point about UCLA. What did UCLA rank in total offense with Bieniemy and after Bieniemy? And go look at their record. Because UCLA as a football team this past year without Bieniemy, they were worse. Yeah, UCLA was 5-7 the year they had Bieniemy. They were 3-9 this year. I mean, they were already bad. They got even worse. In fact, I think they fired Deshaun Foster. Did they not? I don't follow college football that closely, so bear with me here. Yeah, they fired Deshaun Foster during the season. So Eric Bieniemy went to not one, but two really bad situations. And I know what a lot of you guys might be saying. If those are two bad situations, why would Eric Bieniemy go there? Because he had no choice. The reason Eric Bieniemy was not getting a head coaching job in Kansas City before, when I say in Kansas City, I mean while the offensive coordinator in Kansas City, because this is my theory, teams were too afraid to give him a head coaching job because they felt like he was surrounded by Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Watkins, whoever you want to throw out there. They felt like Bieniemy was just a product of everyone around him, which is weird because I've heard a lot of people say that about Mahomes and also say it about Travis Kelsey. It's weird the narrative people have about this football team. People say Mahomes is not good and that he was only good because he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey. He's a product of the system. Well, Tyreek Hill gets traded. Those same people said Mahomes is doomed and will never, ever be good in his career again. And they also said Travis Kelsey was going to get triple teamed. Well, 2022, what do you know? Mahomes broke the record for total yardage for a quarterback, and Travis Kelsey broke the single season record for receiving yards by a tight end. Oh, and by the way, Mahomes almost unanimously won league MVP and ended up winning Super Bowl MVP. Last person to do that same year was Kurt Warner. So then the narrative was, oh, okay, Mahomes is only good because Andy Reid's his head coach. Well, Andy Reid was the head coach these last three regular season games, and what happened to the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes? They only got one touchdown. So I don't want to hear, oh, there were other injuries. No, the narrative has always been that Mahomes needed Andy Reid. Well, these last three games, we've seen how badly this Chiefs team needs Patrick Mahomes. But we don't need these three games, though. We saw before Mahomes became the starting quarterback what the postseason record was with Alex Smith and Andy Reid together. They were 1-4. Alex Smith, as much as we love him and everything, helping the Chiefs improve from the dark years of 07 to 12, we appreciate all of that with Alex Smith, but Alex Smith did not win a playoff game with Tyreek Hill on his team. He just didn't. The only playoff win was in 2015, technically January of 2016. That was before Tyreek Hill arrived. So again, people always want to discredit someone on the team. People want to discredit Eric Bieniemy because of all the people he's surrounded by. People wanted to discredit Patrick Mahomes because all the people he's surrounded by. Man, at some point, like, it's just not your fault that you're surrounded by great people. It's just not. Like, you can't just discredit and refuse to give someone their flowers because this coach is better or that quarterback is great, or I don't know. It's never made sense. See, Nick, I agree. I think Charlie Weis is a fantastic offensive coordinator. He's a terrible head coach, but was a fantastic offensive coordinator for the Patriots as well as for the Chiefs. And even though it was just 1 year, look what happened in that 1 year. Dwayne Bowe led the league in touchdown catches. That year, under Weis, Castle and Bowe made their only Pro Bowls they've ever had in their careers. So I don't even think Charlie Weis, in his best year as a coach, would have been able to guide Sam Howell and the Commanders to a Super Bowl appearance. There's no way. Josh McDaniels is the best offensive coordinator. I think a lot of people might look at that and kind of feel like that's a terrible take. I don't think that's really outlandish. I mean, listen, I think, again, McDaniels is a lot like Charlie Weis. The difference is McDaniels has gone back to New England many times with many different quarterbacks. Hell, they made the playoffs with what was the guy's name? Mac Jones. Okay, like, people thought it was just Tom Brady. No, McDaniels went back. Mac Jones did great. McDaniels went back again, and Drake May is doing better now. So yeah, I certainly don't disagree. But whoever you think that best OC is ever, I don't think they would have been able to do a better job than Bieniemy with that Washington team. And I just told you the UCLA team, they were bad. And Bieniemy just had to accept the job because he had to prove himself away from this Chiefs team. I mean, there just weren't a lot of options at the time. There just weren't. Pro Bowler Mac Jones. Yeah, don't forget that alternate Pro Bowl. You know who else is a Pro Bowler? Shedeur Sanders, baby. Shedeur Sanders is going to the Pro Bowl. Oh boy. Can anyone say that with a straight face? That should be like a TikTok challenge. Say the words, Shedeur Sanders is going to the Pro Bowl with a straight. I can't do it. I can't do that. I just can't. That should be a TikTok challenge. But anyway, we're not here to create TikTok trends. We're here to talk football. Listen, I hope people are excited for Eric Bieniemy. I can't control how people feel and don't feel. I'll say this, though. If this Chiefs offense for the next 2 years, if they see serious progress, that has to be a massive print on Eric Bieniemy's resume and a serious case for him to finally get a head coaching job. I get he's old and whatnot, but man, he's better than a lot of other options out there. I'm telling you that. He just is. Like, there's just no way. There's no way. I mean, you can't convince me that Nagy, and just because Andy's the play caller, that it doesn't matter who the OC is. No, it is. I just showed you the numbers. I just explained to you how it's been over the years. The Chiefs, yeah, sure, they made it to the Super Bowl twice without Bieniemy. But man, they really, really need an upgrade offensively speaking. And I don't think this is the only thing, but I think it's one big step in helping the offense go into the right direction. I really do. So we'll see how that does in the coming weeks, but I hope people feel good about it. If not, all I can really say at this point is let's wait and see. And hopefully during the season, we'll start to see people feel differently about Bieniemy and the job he is doing at the time, getting ready to help the Chiefs overcome whatever obstacle they have in their way. Because listen, the schedule is not going to be easy. I think the whole third place schedule, that's a myth. It's only a couple of games different from the rest of your division rivals. It's not really that big of a difference there. So we'll see how that goes. But I think at the end of the day, I think people will see that bringing Eric Bieniemy back, not just a good move, it will turn out to be a great move for Kansas City. Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit. Meaning if a player in your NFL eligible prop bet goes down in the first half, you will still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. And as we look ahead to Super Bowl 60, there are a couple of big storylines that I really like. The big one, the two coaches, Mike Vrabel, Mike McDonald. In my opinion, these two should be 1 and 2 for Coach of the Year. And these two coaches turned around teams that missed the playoffs last year and got them to the Super Bowl this year. Another big storyline is Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold, who has now become the first quarterback from his draft class to go to a Super Bowl. This guy has played for 5 different teams in his 8-year career. After a roller coaster career for him, he is now on his way to his first ever Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60 will be a great one, and if you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my promo code ChiefZone. That's code ChiefZone to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Eric's asking, what did I think of Andy Reid's response to the play calling questions at his press conference? I didn't really think much of it. He mentioned that it was going to be like a collaborative effort. And I think that's always how it's been. Because I remember, and I can't remember which game it was. It was when the Chiefs won 5 of their 6 games. It was during that stretch. Andy Reid made a comment saying that in reference to a specific offensive play, that it was a good call by Nagy. Now, I know a lot of people bring this up when Mahomes approached in Super Bowl 54. Mahomes approached Bieniemy and asked if they could run WASP, jet chip WASP. And the way that worked is, and we saw it in the NFL film special there, Bieniemy just put the mic part of his headset, swiveled it back down and said, hey, he's wondering if we can run WASP. And they just went with it there. So sometimes, if Bieniemy feels the need to interject, Andy said he'll listen on collaborative efforts like that. So I think that is maybe what's in reference there. I don't think it's much different than what he's done before. I really didn't think much of it because I assume that's always how it's been. Listen, Andy was a little more open and honest about the whole play calling thing, because for years people have wondered who is the play caller. Well, I've always said this, and I've talked about this before with Jason Dunn, which, by the way, last week 3 phenomenal guests: JJ Burton, Kendall Gammon, and Jason Dunn. If you haven't already, it's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Chief Zone. I'll put the link to my YouTube channel on there. If you haven't subscribed to it, please, and go check out those podcasts with JJ Burton, Jason Dunn, and Kendall Gammon. I forgot the third name for a moment. Sorry. Check that out if you haven't done so already. 3 fantastic guests, 3 great commentary and analysis from those guys. But with JD, and I told him this before when he's been on the podcast, because he and I kind of had like a back and forth about the play calling. Dude, whenever things work well, people praise Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, like whoever's on the field, plus Andy Reid. But when things are not working, the only person, the one sole person who is to blame is whoever the offensive coordinator is for the Chiefs, whether it's Bieniemy or Nagy, which is weird. You can't do the whole, take all the credit when it works and then not. I'm not saying that's what the players do. I'm saying from the fans' perspective, from Chiefs fans' perspective, because that's always how it is. When things are not working with the offense, everyone blames the offensive coordinator, whether it's Bieniemy or Nagy. And it's never made sense to me. It never has. So I'm hoping that you just get more consistency with the offense, because that's something they've seriously lacked these last 3 years. It looks great for a couple of games, and then it goes back to being bad. That's really how it looked at one point this year. The Chiefs, I think, were a top 5 offensive and defensive football team with their 5-3 record. I mean, Julian Edelman himself said it, that this was the scariest team in football. And unfortunately, that is when they only won one game for the remainder of the season. Only one. By the way, one other thing, I think Jeff commented with this much earlier, and I said I do want to address this. Look, I get that allegations are allegations, and we haven't heard much from the Chiefs or the NFL on this, and I'm referencing the Rashee Rice accusation. Again, I want to be very clear. It's an accusation, nothing more than that, and the only update, if you can call it an update, is his ex, I'm assuming she's an ex, and I'm assuming they're no longer together. She went ahead and deleted the post. Now, with Andy being available today, that was unexpected to me. Nobody asked Andy Reid about Rashee Rice. Now, is it possible the media was told something before the press conference started? Maybe, and maybe we're just not told about that. I know sometimes in the media, I know this for a fact. The media, what's the right way of putting this? They know more that they can say. They know more than they can say. They don't share every single thing they hear or that they're told, especially if it's not verified. And I understand that. You don't want, if you post something or publish something in print or say something on the radio, TV, and there's no proof or substance beyond it, it can lead to credentials being revoked, and that's never something any reporter wants to find themselves in. The media generally wins that battle, but you still don't want to find yourself in that position, because then that creates a really sour relationship between yourself and the organization. Not that that should ever be your priority, but you don't ever want to be labeled as that guy that was once banned by a team, because I know that was a thing in the Carl Peterson era of Chiefs football, that there were people in the media who were banned because they would say negative things about Carl Peterson. So neither here nor there. I know that there are issues like that in other aspects of media, but we won't get into that. Joshua says, I don't think Bailey is going to be there at 9, unfortunately. Probably going to go with Woods or Falk. I saw Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft today. So he has David Bailey going at number 6. And then he has Jeremiah Love going at 8 to the Saints, which does not shock me. Then he has Ruben Bain Jr. going to Kansas City at 9. If David Bailey goes off the board before Ruben Bain Jr., I'll be shocked. If Ruben Bain Jr. is available at 9, I might do a backflip for that. Like, seriously, that would be shocking if Ruben Bain Jr. was available at 9. If by the grace of the football gods, if both here's a question for you guys. If Ruben Bain Jr. and Jeremiah Love, very slim chance of this happening, but let's just say hypothetically speaking, if both Jeremiah Love and Ruben Bain Jr. are available at 9, who do you want the Chiefs to take? Not who do you think will. I just want your opinion. Who do you want the Chiefs to take between Jeremiah Love and Ruben Bain Jr. in the bizarre event that those two both happen to be available at 9? Because I'll tell you what, I've been on the Ruben Bain Jr. train for quite some time now, but man, I gotta say, if with Eric Bieniemy back and how well running backs have done in this offense, from Jamal Charles having his best year in 2013 with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy as his running backs coach, Spencer Ware, Kendrick West even for a little bit, Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing as a rookie, Jerick McKinnon winning AFC Offensive Player of the Month, a backup running back, doing that in Kansas City under Bieniemy when Bieniemy was the OC. I mean, it's kind of hard to say no to Jeremiah Love, even more so now that you have Eric Bieniemy. But I still think, in my opinion, I think Ruben Bain Jr. is who you should get with the 9th pick. Listen, I really want Mahomes to have that balance with a running back. And look, I know a lot of people are talking about Breece Hall. Breece Hall is not going to be cheap. I mean, I don't know if you guys think Breece Hall is going to come to Kansas City for a charitable service. I don't think that's happening. Breece Hall is going to want a lot of money. That's why the Chiefs did not give up a 3rd-round draft pick to get him, because they felt like they would not be able to retain him, and that giving up a 3rd for a rental was going to be way too much. And I'm a big fan of Breece Hall. I just think he's in a really bad situation. In my opinion, I think Breece Hall can be a top 5 running back if he goes to the right destination next season. Hey, look, do you draft Jeremiah Love? Again, hypothetically speaking, if both of those guys are available, Ruben Bain Jr. and Jeremiah Love, do you get a running back that can help really provide a balance with this offense, a much needed balance, especially for Mahomes coming off an ACL tear late last season? Or do you get an edge rusher who is built like a truck that's ready to run over anyone and everyone ahead of him on a defensive line that seriously needs help with their 4-man rush? I mean, both running back and edge are a need right now. I suppose it's much easier finding a running back in later rounds that you think could do a good job for you. Because look, Isaiah Pacheco was not Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley. I mean, but man, he was pretty damn good. He was pretty good for Kansas City for his first 2 years, especially for a guy that almost went undrafted, considering that part of it. Now, how much interest do the Chiefs have in bringing back Kareem Hunt and or Isaiah Pacheco? Man, I don't know. I think a lot of people feel like the Isaiah Pacheco ship has sailed, but does Eric Bieniemy think that? Because Eric Bieniemy has coached Pacheco for 1 season. So Bieniemy knows what kind of a player Pacheco is. Bieniemy knows what kind of a player Kareem Hunt is. He's coached both of those guys before. So would he consider would he try to persuade the front office, Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and trying to be open to bringing back one or both running backs? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't know what ideal running back, realistically speaking, considering the Chiefs' terrible cap situation, what running backs could you really get in Kansas City right now? Because this is something to consider with Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love would be on a rookie deal for a couple of years. And that could bode well for you, not just offensively, but also financially. Now, again, you can find the odds of you finding a better running back in rounds 2 or beyond are better than an edge rusher in the 2nd round and beyond. But that's why it just makes the Jeremiah Love thing so interesting. You got Eric Bieniemy. There aren't a lot of realistic options for the Chiefs, but that is something to consider. Let's see. Bain, Love, Bain, Love, Bain. Okay, so majority of you want Bain. I agree, Bleed Arrowhead. There's no way both are there. I would be shocked if either one will be there at 9. But on Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft today, he has the Chiefs taking Ruben Bain Jr. I would be shocked if that happened. I'd be shocked. Listen, the 3 guys I want in order: Ruben Bain Jr., Jeremiah Love, David Bailey. If the Chiefs get any of those 3 guys with the number 9 pick, I'd be happy. And I think every Chiefs fan should. I've always off saying, oh, yeah, me too. Listen, and in my opinion, he should have won MVP last year, but I've already gone over that, so I'm not going to go over it in detail here. Here's a question I have, because I know we spent a lot of time this offseason and even on today's podcast talking about the Chiefs offense, but we've got to talk about the Chiefs defense a little bit because there are some serious concerns regarding who the Chiefs might lose on that side of the football. Because Charles Omenihu, who wasn't, let's just say he was underwhelming this year. Najee Johnson, not a good cornerback, but he is good off the blitz, and I know Spags really loves that about him. Let's see, Brian Cook, who, in my opinion, is a heavily underrated safety. He's without a contract. Derek Nottie, who's not a good defensive tackle as a starter, but I wouldn't mind him for depth purposes. Leo Chenal, who is a seriously underrated linebacker. He might have played his last season with Kansas City. Mike Pennell, who's come back many, many times to this team. Mike Edwards, who's been an important part of your depth in years past. Cole Christensen and Jack Cochran, both linebackers, both guys who have been important for your special teams unit over the years. The Chiefs have a lot of people on the defensive side of the football. You also have Josh Williams, Jalen Watson. I mean, there are a lot of players on the defensive side of the football that we're kind of forgetting about because a lot of the focus recently with the Chiefs has been on offense. Now, let me just say this. Not only do you have all those defensive backs I mentioned, Trent McDuffie, who I don't know realistically if the Chiefs can afford, considering, according to overthecap.com, the Chiefs right now are sitting at $62 million over the cap. That is not good. It's not going to leave you with a lot of room to work with. So what are the Chiefs going to do with the salary cap? I've mentioned cutting Jawan Taylor, Mike Dana. That's going to save you $29 million, but you still have a lot more work to do. Cutting Drew Tranquil is possible because he's got 1 year left. Trading Trent McDuffie, that might be an extremely unpopular move, but one the Chiefs would have to make. So let me just do this because I like doing this with overthecap.com's website. They give you this calculator where you can basically choose to cut whoever you want, and it'll tell you how much money you'll save in cap for 2026. So if you cut Jawan Taylor, that saves $29 million or $20 million. If you cut Mike Dana, that'll give you an additional $9 million. Now, right now, the Chiefs, I have them at $33 million over the cap. Cutting Drew Tranquil will drop you to $27 million. Where's Trent McDuffie on here? So let's say you trade Trent McDuffie. You go from $27 million over the cap to $13 million over the cap. Okay, so we went from $62 million to $13 million. That's a lot. That's almost $50 million there. Now, I'm sure they'll restructure. Now, if you choose to restructure someone, they ask you to put in specific numbers, and I'm just not going to mess with that because I don't know exactly what numbers to really put in there. But restructuring Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones contracts are certainly on the board because Patrick Mahomes has a cap hit of $78 million. Jones very close to $45 million, and Jones's number is high because they already restructured it in his first full offseason with that new deal. So I don't know how much room you're gonna have left to work with. It ain't gonna be much, and that's a big concern of mine because I think Kansas City, they need some help on defense, not just with the offensive side of the football. Although I will say this, I think with the offensive side, I think if you can find a way to bring back Tyquan Thornton, Travis Kelce, and Kareem Hunt, I think your offense for the most part is set. Maybe Hollywood Brown I throw in there as well. Now, easier said than done, I'll say that. But boy, then you got a lot of guys on the defensive side of the football you've got to worry about. And I just don't know right now how is Kansas City going to be able to figure all that out? I think if you're Brett Veach, you're learning a very, very, very important lesson right now. Yes, the Chiefs, and I know this is not reflective of the draft the last couple of years, but in general, under Veach, and even with a couple of picks before Veach, the Chiefs have done a tremendously great job of drafting. I mean, look who they've gotten outside of the first round. Guys like Creed Humphrey, guys like Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Watson, guys who they got in late first round that year in 2022, Karlaftis and McDuffie. Like, you've gotten a lot of great players outside of the first round. Rashee Rice, who, again, we don't know what's going on with him right now with his off-the-field drama, but if the Chiefs feel like that's really nothing, maybe the Chiefs seriously consider extending him, and that's not going to be easy. Look, I don't know what magic wand Veach can pull out this time, because Veach has done a lot of magical things with the salary cap in years past. But it is becoming harder and harder, and that's why I was telling you guys 12 months ago, I really hope the Chiefs can pull off the three-peat, because they're going to be in a very tough situation with the salary cap to the point where they will lose a lot of players. And we saw that. We saw that with Justin Reid moving on. We saw that with Turk Wharton moving on. And we're going to see it even more with players this year that might move on. Players that we don't want to see move on. We don't want to see Leo Chenal and Trent McDuffie wear another team's jersey. Nobody wants to see that. Jalen Watson, who I think is an underrated cornerback. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, Mickey, that's something to consider with the Rashee Rice situation. You're right. The Romeo Dobbs is better than Hollywood Brown, perhaps, but I think you've got to seriously look at cheaper options. I think Hollywood would be better for depth purposes. And if you resign Tyquan Thornton, that is, he's someone who deserves more playing time. Now, we'll see how the Chiefs want to manage all of that, but I mean, there's a lot for Kansas City to consider this offseason. I am eager, but also very nervous to see how things go. Like, if I could hit a fast forward button through the next 6 weeks, man, I'd be very intrigued in hitting that, because I want to see what happens with this team from a roster standpoint 6 weeks from now. Because 6 weeks from now, that's when the new league year is going to begin. I just don't know right now. How do you even keep Tyquan Thornton? How do you even keep a guy like Kareem Hunt, who's not going to cost much, but you don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with? Because here's something to keep in mind. It's not just getting under the cap before the new league year. It's also making sure you have enough money to spend during the season, because injuries are going to happen. You're going to promote someone from the practice squad, and then you've got to sign someone to the practice squad. I mean, there are a lot of variables that go into being below the salary cap. There's a lot the Chiefs have got to figure out. If we can get a late first for McDuffie, I believe you have to trade him. I know one popular move is the Rams, because I think they have 2 first-round draft picks. Let me ask you guys this question. Because the Chiefs, as we know, they're not afraid to send a very good player to a conference, a team within the conference. They traded Tyreek Hill to Miami. They traded L'Jarius Sneed to Tennessee. So here's a question I have, because Kansas City has a number 9 pick right now. What if Kansas City traded Trent McDuffie to a team that desperately needs help on defense? I'm talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the number 10 pick in the draft. If Kansas City got just a number 10 pick, nothing else for McDuffie, just the number 10 pick in the draft. If you're the Chiefs, do you accept? I want to know. That's a question I have for you guys. Would you be okay if the Chiefs traded Trent McDuffie to the Bengals for the number 10 pick in the draft? I would not be opposed to that at all, because I know there's this history that the Chiefs just do not pay cornerbacks. They didn't pay L'Jarius Sneed. They didn't pay Marcus Peters. I mean, there are a lot of guys at the cornerback position, even before Veach, that they just haven't paid. Some people think that's just a coincidence. Maybe that's just a pattern that's not relevant to right now. some people feel like that is, history repeating itself. Wow, we're getting mixed answers on this one. No way, yes, no, that's tough. Yes. Okay, so I think we're kind of split on this one, but it seems like yes slightly wins this one. Yeah, we're getting some more comments here. And again, that's not easy, especially to a team that actually has been a rival of yours over the years in Cincinnati. Yeah, you don't want to send a great player like that, but Chris says, I don't think you would get a top 10 pick. I do. Only if. That's why I was very specific with the question. You do not get anything else in return for McDuffie. All you get is just the number 10 pick. That's the only thing you will get. Because in my opinion, I think you can get a first round and a fourth round pick for McDuffie. I think depending on the team that desperately needs a cornerback, I think you can demand a first and a third for McDuffie. I truly think you can. Or a second and a third. That's also possible as well. But if you were to just get the number 10 pick for Trent McDuffie and nothing else, I could see a team that needs help on defense, be willing to do that. And listen, Cincinnati, yeah, I know they've been paying a lot of guys lately, but I checked this before. They also have some space to work with to the point where they could pay McDuffie what he wants. Because here's the thing. No team is going to accept a trade for McDuffie unless they are willing to pay McDuffie what he's asking for. Because as soon as Tyreek Hill got traded, he signed a massive deal with the Dolphins. As soon as L'Jarius Sneed got traded, he signed a massive deal with the Titans. The most likely scenario I see is the Rams. They own the Falcons pick, and the Rams are in win now mode. Yeah, that's a great point. The Rams seem to be the popular destination for Trent McDuffie. Oh, and by the way, the Chiefs and the Rams do play each other next season, so there's that story to go along with it. But I just had to ask that question because, yeah, I agree. It'd be tough for a team to give up a top 10 pick. But if that team really, really, really wants McDuffie and they really need help at that position, and all the Chiefs are asking for is just that top 10 pick, I could see that as a win-win for both sides. I do. Yeah, I like Noah Williams as well. I do. I thought he had a good season. The playing time for some of these guys, it was weird last year. I don't get it, but we'll cross that bridge later in the offseason. Okay. I do want to get into Championship Sunday and the games that we saw over the weekend, starting with the Broncos and the Patriots. I told you guys this would be a low-scoring game. Listen, I know the weather was a huge factor, but I think even without the weather, and I know Broncos fans are saying, well, if Bo Nix was available, yeah, but I know Bo Nix had a great game against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is not really that impressive either. Bo Nix has not necessarily been great this season. He just hasn't. So I don't really know if Bo Nix being available and the weather being clear would have made a major difference. I think both teams would have scored a little bit more for sure, but I still think both teams would have been below 20 points. That's just, that's a hypothetical. I picked the Patriots to win in a low scoring game, and that's what ended up happening. Look, Jarrett Stidham had that nice one big throw to Marvin Mims Jr., 52 yards. After that, there was nothing else that the Broncos offense had to work with when it came to Jarrett Stidham. I mean, he was missing on wide receiver screen passes. Like some of the most short and easy passes I've seen Jarrett Stidham be inaccurate with. It was frustrating to watch if you are a Broncos fan. And listen, I'll say this for the Patriots. I know people are not wanting to give the Patriots their flowers, but you kind of need to. They beat up on a Chargers team that doesn't have a good offensive line right now. I get that. They also beat up on CJ Stroud, who wasn't very good this season and was really bad in the playoffs. And then they beat Jarrett Stidham. Look, you can't ever apologize for the team in front of you. You can't. You never, ever can do that. But I've said this many, many times. I think people underestimate this Patriots defense. Everybody talks about Drake May, Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, Matt Collins, Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry. Like, everyone talks about those guys. Nobody talks about this Patriots defense. No one talks about Christian Gonzalez and how key of a player he's really become since coming back from his injury. Nobody talks about that with this Patriots team. Nobody talks about Christian Ellis or Barmore or any of those guys. I think the Patriots might have maybe one of the most under the radar defenses in the NFL this season. So, and listen, here's another thing to keep in mind about the Patriots. Yeah, they moved on from Brady. They moved on from Belichick, and they had those bad years towards the tail end of, or during the tail end of Belichick's time with Cam Newton, Mac Jones, and then your head coach for 1 year was Gerard Mayo, and that was abysmal. Well, you bring in Mike Vrabel. He installs this winning mentality instantly. And the Patriots, who had this dynasty, and then they were bad for a couple of years, they're not back to going to the Super Bowl. Dude, there are teams who are terrible for several years, and they always have a top 5 pick, and they can't ever rebuild. They just can't. They might have a small flash here and there, but I'm talking about teams like the Jets, the Browns, the Raiders. I mean, they've been bad for so many years, with the exception of, one good year here and there, but they can't ever figure it out. The Patriots are going to the Super Bowl after a couple of really bad seasons. Props to the Patriots, man. I mean, they are just a well-built organization. So, yes, there is life after Brady and Belichick. It's called Vrabel and May. Listen, I've said this for many, many years. If there's one player I would let Andy Reid go for, or one player, I meant one coach, I would let Andy Reid go for, I've always said it'd be Mike Vrabel. And that'd be more for age purposes, because Andy Reid's getting up there, whereas Vrabel, he's just getting started. He won Coach of the Year in Tennessee, may have a chance to win Coach of the Year this season. We'll see how the votes turned out. We'll learn the week of the Super Bowl, but man, and by the way, how dumb do the Titans feel right now firing Vrabel? Because I said instantly, the Tennessee Titans will regret it. It got to the point where they decided between Nagy and Saleh. The guy they fired a couple of years ago is on his way to a Super Bowl. Yeah, Drake May apparently got injured in this game. That's going to be interesting. Not a lot of people are talking about that at the moment. Yeah, Anthony, when Anthony mentions Vrabel was a Chief also, when the Chiefs got Matt Castle and Mike Vrabel in that package, which was a little suspect for a second-round pick, I think that was a gift to Pioli more than anything else. But, dude, I was way more excited for Vrabel than I was Castle. I always thought that Vrabel, and listen, we did this podcast way back then, and I said it at the time. I've always felt like Vrabel was heavily underrated with that Patriots defense, because with that Patriots defense, Vrabel didn't get much recognition. It was Vince Wilfork, it was Teddy Bruschi, it was Ty Law. Vrabel didn't get the recognition I felt like he deserved during his time in New England. And I always thought it was cool how he would come in as an eligible receiver and would have the touchdown catches. And he did it a couple of times in Kansas City too, which was fun to see. So, yeah, I mean, listen, that's one reason why I'm not in this whole Chiefs versus Patriots argument with like a lot of people are on social media. I've always liked Mike Vrabel. Yeah, part of it is because he was a former Chief. Yeah, just for a couple of years, but still was nonetheless. And I've always just loved his coaching style. Dude, Derrick Henry got injured 1 year, and the Titans still found a way to get the number 1 seed. Now, unfortunately, they didn't end up winning a playoff game. That was when they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals went on to beat the Chiefs the following week. That was the same weekend the Chiefs had the 13-second game against Buffalo. But I've just always felt like Vrabel did a lot with very little in Tennessee. I mean, Ryan Tannehill was his quarterback. They went to an AFC championship game against Kansas City. They were up by 10 at one point. They just never gave Vrabel the tools he truly needed to succeed. They said, here's Ryan Tannehill. This is your quarterback. And look, I don't know what happened with Ryan Tannehill in Miami, but Mike Vrabel knew, and Vrabel figured that out. But there was also a ceiling with Tannehill. So I thought it was dumb that Tennessee fired him. So I'm happy to see Mike Vrabel going to a Super Bowl, this time doing it as a coach with the Patriots. The Rams-Seahawks game, that one was just straight up cinema. This was a classic. Matthew Stafford, he could not have played a better game. 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, got sacked once in this game. I mean, he was just lights out great in this one here. Puka Nacua doing Puka Nacua things. Oh, dude, the wide receivers in this game were insane. Devontae Adams, I mean, you can tell he's in a position now where he feels like he's reverting back to his Green Bay days. Parkinson, who's great for that depth chart there. I mean, they've got a lot of great guys to work with. And then on the other side of it, for Seattle, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I am very convinced is not a human being. This guy is literally a cyborg. 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. He had almost 1,800 receiving yards during the regular season. You have Cooper Kupp, who's not the receiver he once was. He's the last non-quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP. And here he is going back to a second Super Bowl for himself, which is great. Dude, I'm obsessed with Jackson Smith and Jigba. That dude is a freak of nature. Every NFL team dreams of having a wide receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you can have 3 Jackson Smith and Jigbas on your team, you can never lose a football game ever. Like, your offense has to be ranked number 1 in total offense, passing, points scored, everything. This guy seriously might be one of the more special wide receivers I've ever seen. And I would not be shocked if he goes out there and has a big Super Bowl. Watch out for him, because I would not be shocked if he has 2 touchdowns in that game. I like the Patriots defense, and I've talked about it on here many times, how I think they're great. But boy, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba can carve through even the best defenses. So we'll see. Yeah, he had 100 yards in the first half. Yeah, I remember Brady and Burkhardt were even making a big deal about that. I mean, here's the crazy thing. Not only does he just make these difficult catches, defenders don't hold back. They go and deliver these hard hits, and he holds on to the football. He kind of reminds me of like a DeAndre Hopkins in his prime. Just does not give up the football. And he always finds a way to get open. It's insanity. So, in Jigba, my new favorite name in the NFL. I thought you were about to say that that's your favorite. If Jackson Smith and Jigba wins the Super Bowl MVP, dude, there has to be like a record for number of Jackson Smith and Jigba fantasy football names for the following season. I mean, I think that is how big of a hot commodity he is right now in the NFL. Now, I will say this, and I know somebody referenced it, and I apologize. I'm way behind in the comments because I'm caught up now. It's way up. Whoever that was, Woolen, the cornerback for the Rams, or I'm sorry, for the Seahawks, dude, you almost cost your team in this one because he does the silly taunting penalty. He has a nice pass. I think that was when he almost got an interception and said it was incomplete. Brought up 4th and 12. Great, you got to stop. They're punting the football away because I think they were out of field goal range at the time. And then he starts taunting towards the Rams bench. Now, look, I think the taunting rule is dumb. I don't think there's anything. But here's the weird part. We have these strict taunting rules, but there are a lot of things that are said at the line of scrimmage. If you pay very, very, very close attention from an audio perspective for all 272 NFL games, you can hear some of the trash talking. I mean, there are some NSFW words that get dropped on live TV because guys are trash talking with one another. You don't always hear it, but from time to time, you'll see the mics will pick it up. I mean, there are a lot of things that players say to each other, but we have those are not enforced, but certain gestures are. Look, I think as long as you're not doing the middle finger, the throat slash gesture, hip thrusting, anything along those lines, let them taunt. What did Joe Burrow say on the in that interview? Let them taunt. It's silly. Like, I seriously think we get to a point where we're creating this sensitivity, and I get it. Like, the other side of it is, well, if my kid points at a defender on his way to a touchdown and the other kids are offended because, it happened in the NFL, so it's okay to do it in a Little League football game, then the NFL has to answer for it. I remember years ago, Tyreek Hill would do the deuces, and it wasn't a penalty until he directed that vertically at a defender. Like, as soon as he points it straight to a defender, that's when it was considered a penalty. And I noticed in Madden, that's when they removed, because you could celebrate with Tyreek Hill in Madden doing that, but after it became an unsportsmanlike penalty, taunting, they removed it from the game. It's like, man, what are we doing here? I don't know, man. Like, it's okay to talk some trash. It's okay to point at someone. It's okay to talk. But here's the other part of it. Whether you think it's dumb or not, it's in the rule, and the players know it. What are you doing talking to them? It's 4th down. You got to stop. It's over. It reminds me of Chris Jones on not one, but 2 occasions. Chris Jones would say he would get to the quarterback's face and say something after a 3rd down stop. That drives coaches nuts. You can't be doing that. Again, whether you agree with that rule, you think it's silly or not, I think there are certain streets in my commute that, I don't agree with the speed limit. It says 25. I think it should be 35. But you know what? Doesn't matter if I agree with it or not. If I don't obey the speed limit laws, I'll get pulled over and I'll get a ticket for it, whether I agree or not, because it's not up to me to decide what the speed limit should be. Just like how it's not up to the players as to when taunting is allowed and not allowed. I get it. There are probably a lot of things that are said in between plays, and maybe he wanted to say something back. That was not the time to do it, man. That just wasn't. So fortunately for him, it didn't cost the Rams, or it didn't cost the Seahawks at the end of the day. But boy, you got to know the rules here. You've got to know the rules. It just drives me nuts when players forget taunting is against the rules. Never forget Tyreek painting the deuces on his glove. Yeah, that I remember, where he just went like this or whatever it was. Again, I think because Tyreek Hill has not done that for a while now, in fear that he's going to get penalized. Look, you can do it. You just can't. It's almost like pointing at someone. You can't point the deuces at anybody. Bring back the horn with the flip phone and Terrell Owens with the Sharpie and the popcorn. See those things I miss. That was those were some creative celebrations, taunting. Remember Owens on the star? Or was that somebody else? I think it was Owens. I think it was T.O. But yeah, man. I mean, listen. I'll go back to Sam Darnold here because I haven't mentioned his name. This guy just played the best game of his life. Give Sam Darnold credit. This guy has been on 5 different teams in 8 years. Look at the quarterback class you're a part of. Baker Mayfield, and I can't remember the exact order, but I believe it's Baker Mayfield, and then Sam Darnold, and then Josh Allen, then Josh Rosen, and then Lamar Jackson with the last pick of the first round. Dude, Sam Darnold was probably before last year with the Vikings, he was probably a season away from joining Josh Rosen outside of the NFL. Josh Rosen, by the way, for those who don't know, he's pursuing a degree in business, which, hey, good for him. Couldn't figure out in the NFL, he's doing something good in his life. That you like to see. But Sam Darnold, man, this guy was probably 1 year away from never getting a chance to play in the NFL ever again. And he resurrected his career in Minnesota. He goes to Seattle, and Seattle took risks on guys like Sam Darnold and on another guy like Cooper Kupp, who people thought, was never going to be good ever again. And I know he's not what he once was, but man, he certainly delivered for them this year, especially in this NFC Championship game when it was close, down to the wire. He came through with a touchdown at one point in this game. Sam Darnold with 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. This guy played the game of his life. And it wasn't easy because he got sacked 3 times in this one as well. Give Sam Darnold credit, man. He's going to his first Super Bowl. He deserves it. Now, I mentioned that draft class. Sam Darnold is in the same draft class as Josh Allen. Drake May has only played 2 seasons, and he's in the same division as Josh Allen. Drake May and Sam Darnold have made it to a Super Bowl before Josh Allen. And I know Bills fans Bills fans are extremely sensitive lately. When you mention that Drake May and Sam Darnold are going to a Super Bowl before Josh Allen, when you mention that he's 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, 0-1 against Burrow, wins are not a quarterback stat. They literally are. You go to Pro Football Reference, it's right there. Matt Ryan, many, many times as an analyst, has said that wins and losses are connected to coaches and quarterbacks more than anybody else. Josh Allen had a top 5 defense the same year Patrick Mahomes won his first ever road playoff game in Buffalo. Josh Allen had the league leader in rushing yards this year. And yeah, Josh Allen helped the Bills put up 30 points on the road in Denver. He also committed 4 turnovers. Okay, one of them was controversial and in overtime. But you know what, man? You had the ball in overtime after the Broncos were forced to punt, and you couldn't even pass midfield with the season on the line. All you needed was a field goal. They've changed the overtime rules for him. They've changed how you measure a first down in close situations because of him. What's the next rule? Seriously, I'm anticipating a rule that's going to say, well, the new overtime rules will still stay the same, but if Josh Allen is involved, the game cannot end in overtime unless Josh Allen has more points. I'm just waiting for that to be a rule at this rate. Joshua says Josh Allen should fire Brandon Beane. Yeah, he probably should. Listen, Josh Allen's a great quarterback. No, anyone that's watching football is not going to tell you otherwise. Otherwise, they have no idea what they're talking about. But look, we can't sit here and say, the 13-second game, I will say, Josh Allen could not have done any more in that game. I will not put that on Josh Allen. And his first couple of years, losing to the Texans, losing to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, he was young and just getting started. The 13-second game, yeah, I don't know what else he could have done. He threw not 1 but 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes at Arrowhead. That's not easy to do. However, not everything is everybody else's fault except for Josh Allen. It's just not. The Tyler Bass missed field goal. First of all, you're lucky McCole Hardman fumbled because that gave the Bills an opportunity to tie the game. And by the way, before Tyler Bass missed, 2 kicks before that, what happened? Josh Allen misses a wide open Khalil Shakir in the end zone. So stop putting all the blame on Tyler Bass. Oh, by the way, in that same game, the Bills did not have a play more than 18 yards. A big play is considered 20 plus or more yards. Buffalo did not have a big play in that game. Kansas City only had 6 plays for negative yardage in that same game. 4 of them were QB kneels. And then they go, they play the Bengals, and they play them at home in the snow. And they only put up 10 points. And I remember the excuses came out. Oh, Buffalo lost because the weather was bad. You're Buffalo. Weather should never be an issue. I mean, with the Chiefs getting a new indoor stadium and all, and people are making this big deal about how football should be played outdoors because outdoor teams have the advantage. Well, Buffalo is building a brand new stadium that's going to start in 2026, and that is an outdoor stadium. They're not, no retractable roof, no dome, nothing. They are keeping the outdoor elements in there. So you can't use weather as an excuse if you're Buffalo. You just can't. I'm sorry, you can't. And then you play Kansas City. Oh, it was a first down. Really? Because in that same game, Buffalo got away with a false start on a big play. I think it ended up being a touchdown play, or it ended up being inside the 5. I can't remember exactly. I'm referring to last year's AFC Championship game. Oh, by the way, with the game on the line down by 3, Allen cannot lead the Bills past midfield. And then in this season, what does Josh Allen do? He commits 4 turnovers. One of them is the most egregious and careless fumble I have ever seen in my entire life. That gifted the Broncos 3 points right before halftime. You lost by 3 because you gifted them 3. Oh, by the way, he missed a wide open. I can't remember if it was Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid right before the end of regulation. Not everything is the fault of Sean McDermott and the 52 other players. And listen, Josh Allen has taken responsibility. Every quarterback is going to take responsibility when they lose because that's what quarterbacks do. But Bills fans, I mean, blaming Josh Allen is forbidden in Buffalo. You blame Josh Allen in Buffalo, they will put you through a burning table. Stop defending this guy. He's still a great quarterback. No one's saying he's not. But you have to start looking at him as part of the reason. I'm not saying the reason, although I'll argue he played a big role in this loss with that fumble before halftime. I mean, he is the reason why you didn't win this last game. He's been a big part of the reason why you haven't been able to go to the Super Bowl in 8 years. And now with this head coaching search, Buffalo should be a hot landing spot. But because of that PR disaster that was called a press conference with the owner and the general manager, I don't think any head coach wants to go there. Like, let me put it like this to you. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you're obviously looking for a new head coach. You should not be asking any questions in that interview. It should be the candidate, the potential head coach, that should be asking questions. Because if I'm an offensive coordinator and I'm being asked to interview for the Buffalo Bills head coaching position, I have questions. Don't ask me questions. I've got questions. I want to know why the hell you just threw Sean McDermott and everybody under the bus like that. Why the hell did you throw Keon Coleman under the bus? Listen, does Josh Allen have the help that Mahomes has had? No, but he's had enough. Let's stop with this whole, oh, Josh Allen doesn't have any help. No, he has help. He just hasn't delivered when the games come down to the wire more times than not. Again, the 13-second game, he could not have done anything else. But in the divisional round game in Buffalo, the AFC Championship game last year, the divisional round game this year, dude, there's a reason why he and Deion Dawkins both teared up. No one cries because they lose a divisional round game. And there's nothing easy about winning 3 road playoff games. But when there's no Chiefs, there's no Bengals, no Ravens, and people are talking about how the Patriots had the easiest path to a Super Bowl. Well, guess what, Buffalo? You were in the same playoff field. So you can't sit here and not give New England. Here's what I'm hearing a lot of Buffalo fans say. They're saying Chiefs fans should not say anything because they were not in the playoffs this year. And they're saying that the Patriots had the luckiest path to a Super Bowl. You don't get that. That's not a flex. That's not anything Buffalo fans should be bragging about. Yeah, Kansas City didn't make the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is not at home wondering if he'll ever win the big one. Josh Allen is. This was Josh Allen's year to win it all, and he should have won it all. And New England, you want to criticize them for having the easiest path? Last I checked, Buffalo was also in the playoffs. I mean, they could have had an easy path, but they didn't. They blew it in the divisional round. So, look, the Josh Allen thing is so intriguing to me because I don't know what kind of a team Buffalo is going to be next year. Crazy enough, Buffalo has the best odds from the AFC to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,000. Oh, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. And listen, I'm not saying that I think Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl next year. I'm not so sure they will. I think Kansas City will make the playoffs. I don't know about their Super Bowl chances just yet. But I'll bet on Kansas City before I bet on Buffalo. That I can say for sure right now. So I don't know who their next head coach is going to be. Nate Scheelhaus, boy, they better convince him and be able to pay him, be willing to pay him all the money in the world. Because I think if Buffalo wants to stay competitive, boy, they better get Nate Scheelhaus. Because if they don't get Nate Scheelhaus, I don't know who else they're going to get. I mean, they're seriously going to have to get someone of Matt Nagy's caliber. But they haven't interviewed Matt Nagy yet. But Phillip Rivers withdrawing, who they supposedly had serious interest in, which is wild because Rivers has never even coached in the NFL. And they were ready to give him the keys to the organization. Buffalo is in a very desperate spot right now. And let's not forget something. We know that of the Chiefs, Bengals, and Ravens, at least two of those three will rebound. I think Jacksonville's getting started. New England is getting started. Houston, look, CJ Stroud, they've got to figure out what they're going to do with him. But if that defense can stay competitive, they already beat Josh Allen in the regular season. And that played a big factor in the Bills not winning the AFC East. Denver, if Bo Nix can be consistent, they'll be a threat for many years to come. I mean, Buffalo's opportunity to win a Super Bowl just got even harder because the competition in the AFC is about to get better. And listen, the same thing applies to Kansas City. Can Kansas City get to their fourth championship win with this core group, or with Patrick Mahomes at least? If he does, man, he will have earned it because the AFC just got more crowded. Buffalo has to go through, because all the teams I'm mentioning right now, not all of them can make the playoffs next year. That's 9 teams. 8 or 9 teams I mentioned. The other team I mentioned, the Chargers. Now it's 9 teams. Because if the Chargers have a good offensive line, they're going to be tough to beat. Buffalo might have to settle for another wild card next year at best. So good luck to them, because that's not going to go real well. Josh Allen, I think, if they don't figure it out this upcoming season, Allen's going to request a trade. And rightfully so. And again, like I said earlier, I think people are weird when they try to protect him and not even give him 1 ounce of the blame. But I think Allen is just ready to get out of there. If he wants to win a championship, it's got to be outside of Buffalo. Those are my thoughts. But yeah, that's you got the Patriots and the Seahawks. And listen, we'll talk more about the Super Bowl later. But you cannot deny that when you look at the Super Bowl matchup, boy, that has to be a tough pill to swallow if you're a Bills fan and a Jets fan. The Jets drafted Sam Darnold. The Bills, I mean, they're looking at Sam Darnold, who is now getting compared heavily to Allen, and their division rival, Drake May and the Patriots, are in the playoffs, or in the Super Bowl, rather. Who the hell is Buffalo wanting to win? I mean, I'm not saying you have to have a rooting interest, but let's be honest, it's a Super Bowl. Everyone has a rooting interest. I don't know who Buffalo and Jets fans are rooting for, but boy, that's going to be a tough Super Bowl for those two fan bases to watch. That's a tough one for them to watch. That'll do it for this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. I appreciate you all joining me tonight. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just commented with the link one more time, youtube.com/@thechiefszone. And if you haven't done so already, let a friend know about the YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys joining me on this Monday night. Unless we have any breaking news that occurs tomorrow, the next time we'll be doing a podcast will be on Wednesday. I know we've been going fast and furious. We're going every single day. We're going weekdays, but I think we're now at a point where we can slow it down a little bit unless there's any breaking news that comes out. So until then, I will talk to you all at Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. This podcast will be archived shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X, Apple, Spotify, anywhere where you can download and listen to a podcast. And if you miss any part of this podcast, check it out on those websites I just mentioned. And if you enjoyed this, please share it. Let a friend know about the Chiefs Zone podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. I'm out of here. I will talk to you all on Wednesday. Peace out.